Welcome to the Beyond Cinema studio presented by Celebs.com up here at TIFF. Mikael Marcimain. Firstly, congratulations on having Call Girl, essentially your first feature film,
Yes.
even though you've been working in the industry for a long time. Were advertisements and TV, were they always like a stepping stone for you? Were you always like looking towards making feature films, or was this just an opportunity that was too good to resist?
Both. No, I've been working for some time with, as you said, both advertisements and also TV miniseries, basically, but kind of filmic ones. Always trying to make it look like. The aim was always to make like cinematic things, you know. So filmic. So of course, Call Girl. Yeah, great first feature. So I'm very happy to be here.
And talk about the first time you guys met and why you wanted Simon.
Well, we met actually, when was it, 2006? Yeah, for a miniseries called How Soon Is Now. That's a story about four friends in the 60s and 70s. It's like four films, four television, but each one taking place in 1 year. One 66, the other one 1968, 72 and 78. So we had to make like four films together then. We met, you know, you hadn't done anything yet.
No,
Big,
the only time I'd been in front of a camera at that time was the auditioning for the same thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's when we met.
Yeah.
Did he make you audition for this?
No, he didn't.
No, I didn't actually.
No.
Not this one.
He just called me.
But, yeah. No, but Simon plays one of the major part there. It's a story about four friends, you know.
And so this, I mean, you talked about that taking place in the 60s and early 70s. What is it about that time period that's so fascinating for you?
I don't know. I'm born in 1970, so 70s is my childhood. So it's like going back to your childhood and, you know, seeing things with different eyes, you know, more mature eyes, things that happened around you. And there was very different times, especially in Stockholm. So for Call Girl, it was like, plus, you know, the fact of being able to travel in time. I mean, it's very nice to do, would you say costume films or period pieces? Yeah, when you can really change things around and take away ugly advertisements from modern days and stuff like that.
Simon, for you, I mean, being able to kind of revisit the 70s, I mean, automatically you don't think actually fashion now includes so many different time periods.
Yeah.
That dressing 1970s now doesn't seem so costumey anymore, but obviously the film itself, the color tones, all that sort of thing.
But also with the costume thing, there's also this, because when you see 70s inspired stuff now, then it's only inspired by that, and still it's a part of the modern trends, even if it's inspired by the 70s clothing. Right. But costume designers in both of these pieces that we've done together has been really into finding the documentary style, and that makes it look very different from like the idea of the 70s costume.
Yeah. But also, I mean, for you, I mean, this is based on actual events. You know, the government at the time was under doing all sorts of things, going outside their powers of control. Was this something that you were all aware of growing up, or is this something that you kind of learned because of the film?
I've learned a lot because of the film. And that's been really an interesting trip to dive into the background material of this film, seeing things there that I wasn't aware of.
And also, because how do you balance that? Because on one side you're showing how liberal the times were, how we're moving towards this kind of freer kind of existence, and at the same time there was all this exploitation going on and this suppression. So how do you balance that?
Well, I don't know. It was a messy time. I think there was a lot of nice things with the 70s in Sweden and with the government then. I mean, the film is not a documentary. It's inspired by actual events, but it has some poetic license to make it, you know. But of course, I don't know, balancing it. We just try to make it a raw, unsentimental, social, political thriller, I guess. You know, focusing very much on the characters and the realism.
The co-production aspect of it, I mean, it's at Sweden, Ireland, Norway, there was another Finland. How does that work? I mean,
well, it works.
How did all those countries come together on one movie?
Yeah, we'll have to ask my producer, Mimi Spong, but we have, I mean, there's a lot of Scandinavian, Swedish films that need to be, since we're such a small country, we need to help each other out, you know. So we often do co-productions between, you know, the Scandinavian countries. So for Norway and Finland, that's quite normal for us. We also have actors in Norway, for example, that speak very good Swedish, so we can also, collaborate in that way. And then with Ireland, that was interesting co-production. It was my producer who managed to make a deal with them.
Did it affect you creatively? Was
Well,
there something that was put in?
Yeah, but we had an English talking actress in the film. She was from Ireland, and also we did some post there. People working with the set, how do you say, art direction came from there as well. So yeah.
And for you, I mean, obviously the look of the film kind of matches. I mean, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy had some beautiful cinematography in it as well.
Yeah.
You were working on that production, I understand, as well as like a second.
Yeah, I was second unit director.
Yeah. So when you work on something like that, do you take a lot from it? Are you always kind of looking and borrowing?
I don't know. This is Thomas, a friend of mine, and also Hoyte, who's the DP of Tinker Tailor. But we have been working for years before, on television series. So I don't know. We try to find our own style. They may be similar because of the fact that it's the same DP, but still they look different, I think. And also the fact that they all both take place in the 70s. Maybe that's, I don't know, I wouldn't know,
Yeah. And what does it mean that the film was selected also to like open the Stockholm Film Festival?
Oh, it's great because it's really a film about Stockholm, and recreating the Stockholm of that time. So we're extremely happy to open there. Of course, we're also in a competition, I think. So it's really a Stockholm film.
Do you think there's a greater awareness of Swedish film? I know the Girl with the Dragon Tattoos kind of become this kind of cliche thing that people talk about. And I don't know if you guys are sick of it or not sick of it.
So sick about it.
But I use so many locations in the area. It really kind of positioned a focus, a lens on the country and on the scenes and locations of that country. So when you're shooting, are you conscious to try to use or not use locations that were used during those films, or because they've become so well known?
I wouldn't know how well known it is from an outside perspective, but we really tried to find very specific location for our story, and those locations, well, they might be. I mean, Stockholm is not that big of a city, but still, you can portray it in so many different ways, and I guess our film is very different from, for example, the Dragon Tattoo or. Yeah.
And what about for you, Simon? Does it create different opportunities that people are like refocusing on that area?
Yeah, of course. When you have contact with international people from the industry, of course, it makes a big difference. That you really notice that at this time there is a lot of focus there, a lot of interest in what we do in Scandinavia and Sweden.
And just from an acting perspective, working with Mikael, is it? Do you get a chance to rehearse? Do you get a chance to... Because the stories are kind of separate at the same time within the film, so how much interaction do you have with the other actors? And do you get a time to rehearse and a time...
Yeah, a bit. At this time we didn't work that much with actual rehearsals, because we were pretty much... We'd talked about it, sat down before and talked about everything, and
there was a lot of research before.
Yeah, a lot of research, but also acting-wise, we had sort of talked about, okay, how do we do this? Okay, we're going to do it this way. All right, good. So when I come to set, and I more or less know what to do from before, more than actual doing rehearsal work.
First thing we did together, we did a lot of rehearsals. That was also a different kind of story because it was much more sentimental story. In this story, I mean, it was so... We really tried to be so... hold back the emotions so much, and just because of the fact that it's 4 stories layered going on, people not really meeting each other, just briefly, so people are more isolated in this film, from each other.
So acting-wise, it makes everything very concentrated
and also,
compact.
but that's for your part, that's true. But for the part, for example, of the girl and the brother mothers and the young girls, they rehearsed a lot, so we did a lot of rehearsals together.
And also because some of the scenes are so intimate that you really need to kind of protect them, I guess, as well, make sure they're prepared for it. Just a quick question about when you're watching the film here, and it's a completely different audience, North America, how curious are you to watch the audience as opposed to watching the film?
I was in the first. We were there in the first screening, so I mean it's very difficult. You sit there and you watch your film on a big screen with the sound and everything. It was great cinema, but you're just trying to feel out what the audience looks like. But they jumped a couple of times and they laughed a couple of times. That's good, I guess.
It was a good atmosphere.
Yeah, it was a good atmosphere. But it's very interesting. I mean, it's fantastic to make this Swedish language long, dark film, and you have packed. I mean, that's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm very curious to see how it will
Well, congratulations on the film success so far, and for completing your first feature and being able to travel with it must be a great feeling. So thanks for spending a few
Thank you
minutes
so
with us.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.